Hello and welcome to another episode of It's Tea Time. I'm your host, Jonathan Sellers, and sitting by me is the athletic director for Troy University, Jeremy McClain. And Jeremy, it's been a busy week last week, and we've got another very busy one this week. And we'll kind of start things off highlighting this week that's coming up. Football team was not in action last week, but they've got a very big one coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, they do. Should be a lot of fun. South Alabama on the schedule this week, and with a little bit of a new twist. We all consider it a rivalry game, and I know South Alabama does as well. So we've had a chance to kind of make that official this year.
Right.
And really, I should say that this came from the Student Government Association on both campuses, and kind of started the conversation about we should play for something.
Right.
You know, there should be a trophy involved in this if it's really become a good rivalry. And so this year we'll be playing for the belt, the Battle of the Belt. Mm-hmm. And so a trophy that's really designed kind of like a wrestling or boxing belt.
Right.
You know? And so it should be a lot of fun. It'll be a traveling trophy, and there'll be a place to keep the scores, you know, to get a inscription of the scores on the trophy. And so it should be a lot of fun. Should add something to this rivalry, which really has become a good one.
Yeah, and not just in football. You've seen it in past years with baseball, basketball, and even recently just soccer with all their close mm-hmm. ties, especially in the game conference championship last year. But now it's extending to football and kind of brings more passion to the rivalry. Yeah,
it does. You know, it's kind of we've dubbed this rivalry week because we had an opportunity to play South Alabama in soccer this past Friday, and obviously football coming up, and then we have them in volleyball as well in about 8 or 9 days. Mm-hmm. And so we saw that with soccer, you know, Friday night where we had, you know, we set a school record for attendance mm-hmm. And a Sun Belt on campus record. Wow. For attendance. So almost 1,400 people at the soccer game Friday night. Unfortunately, we came out on the short end of it, but it was a well-played match, and ended up losing that 2-1 to a very good South Alabama team.
Well, and just the environment of that game, as you said, 1,400 people, but it was 1,400 raucous, crazy
Absolutely.
Fans. I mean, it was a great place to be on a Friday night. I mean, it was loud, it was fun, and I think the players enjoyed it too.
Yeah, they did, and even, you know, the South Alabama group really had a lot of positive things to say, and really went away kind of really complimentary and saying they wanted to make sure they create the same kind of atmosphere on their campus, and it was a lot of fun. The weather was perfect. Right. It was as good a night as you could have hoped for, and I think everybody had a great time, and it was. That was the most exciting soccer game I've ever been to. It was a lot of fun.
Well, let's hope that can continue on to Saturday. As you said, Troy versus South Alabama. It's a 6 o'clock kick, just like that first one. And it was a great atmosphere for that first one. Hopefully that can continue into this second game as well.
Yeah, no doubt. We're looking, you know, those 6 o'clock games seem to work well. You got all day to really kind of have a good time, be out there early, tailgate. And so we encourage people to do that. And we've got really some good energy around this game. A lot of people who are coming out, a lot of tents reserved. For Tailgate Terrace, which is always a great sign of people being excited about what's going on. And so yeah, we encourage people to come out early and enjoy the day, and it's going to be a great game, I think, matchup-wise too. It'll be really both of our first opportunity to play in conference, of course, but then also to kind of play matchup-wise as far as a group of 5 conferences. And so it should be a good measuring stick for both of us.
Right. We both teams played. NC State, Troy opened season with NC State, lost 49-21, and South Alabama hosted them last week and lost 63-13. You can't always go off those numbers, but kind of a good indication, and hopefully that will show on Saturday as well. But another thing surrounding this game is it's a blackout game, and so telling fans to wear black, there's going to be T-shirts provided. What's going on with that?
Exactly. So we've got 10,000 T-shirts that'll be available to people as they come in the gate, and we want to make it a blackout. We themed it blackout early on, and so we want everybody. We think that'll show up, you know, well on television. Will look good, and so we're looking forward to that. And you know, we'll have those available for our students as well. In the student section, we encourage them to get there early and be loud.
Right.
And it's going to be a good time. You know, we've really at the end of. After we finished that first home game, we sent out a survey to all of our fans and kind of asked if for some feedback. What did we do well? Where can we get better? And we got a lot of good feedback. And so we've really made an effort over the past 2 weeks to try to address some of the issues that may kind of continue to come up. And so we hope to see an improved game day experience. Although we thought the first game went well overall, there are always things we can do better. And so we're trying to address some of those head on. And it'll be a process, but we hope that this next game we'll have some clear improvement inside the stadium with some things that we're trying to do a better job of.
And you hate to have kinks, but sometimes it's good to get them worked out early and then have a smooth sailing the rest of the way.
No
but
doubt.
we talked about soccer, we talked about football. Softball team was actually in action yesterday in a great game against Mississippi State. They played a doubleheader and another big crowd at that one as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Right.
It's a unique opportunity for us to kick off the fall season with a doubleheader against an SEC opponent at our place. But what a great facility, first of all, we have there. And, I continue, I've been out there several times, but every time I go, I'm impressed even more. And so it was fun yesterday to see it full and to have people out there. So, it was a great game. We won that first game 3-2 in extra innings on a walk-off home run, which is, everybody got their money's worth. Especially since they didn't pay to get in. So, but it was a great ending to that game, a lot of fun. And then, like I said, we just look forward to that in the spring too, when we can fill those stands up and people are excited about what's going on.
And another team that was in action, they were hosting an event, but it was actually played down in Florida, was the golf team, and they kind of ran away with that one.
Yeah, they did. It was really exciting. It was a Sun Belt preview, and so a great barometer conference-wise of where we are early on anyway. And our guys had a great first day, and then shattered the school record, in day 2, and just finished going away. It was really impressive, and I know exciting for them to do that against conference opponents.
And they're right back in action as well as the women's team, and they're looking to kind of pick up where they left off last year, winning another conference championship. So hopefully they can keep things rolling as well.
Exactly, and so excited for both of those programs. And like you said, the women will kick off today, and look forward to their progress. And I think they've got one tournament under their belt so far, but continuing to improve each week or each tournament that goes by. And so excited for both of those programs, where they're headed. Obviously, we're going to be opening a new golf facility.
Okay.
And most people have seen that going up over the course of the past year, and we'll be opening that here this fall.
Okay.
And we'll have a grand opening for that soon. And so that'll be exciting.
Right.
And a great facility, better than most in the country, really, to be honest with you. I don't think you see a lot of golf programs that have something like that on their campus.
Well, and kind of let's wrap this up talking about Saturday. Once again, it's a big game, battle for the belt, the WWE Championship belt that will be played at 6 o'clock. Trojan Walk will be 3:45.
That's right.
Same place, just like last time?
Exactly. We'll do the Trojan Walk, same as the first game. We're right there at the corner of University and George Wallace, and we'll let the team off and encourage everybody to be there on tailgate terrace and line up and get close to the team and encourage them as they get ready to play.
All right, and be loud and stay the entire game, wear your black, do all that good stuff, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd and come out with a big W.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a real tone setter for us as we move into our conference season. So we need everybody there.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. Welcome back to It's Tea Time, and we're going to talk about the soccer team who was in action on Friday night with a big game, and we're going to talk about that with Coach Jason Hamilton. And Coach, last week you were trying to get a big crowd out there, and you succeeded. Not quite the 2,000 you wanted, but it was very close, and it was a great atmosphere for a soccer game. Unfortunately, the team lost 2-1, but first of all, let's talk about the crowd. I mean, you got to be happy with it.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. The atmosphere for both teams to play. Right. We set a new Sun Belt record for a Sun Belt soccer game. So for the atmosphere that we created for both teams was amazing. We've kind of created that instant rivalry with South last year, both finishing in first and second in the conference, and then playing again in the conference finals. And obviously being in state, it's a rivalry we want to have. So we enjoyed it. Both teams were I think. It was fun for the ladies to play in, and just fun to be a part of. Even people who hadn't been to a game before, they're like, "Wow, that was a lot of fun." So great to have the band there, the cheerleaders, all the other student athletes were there, and then administration, faculty, and other students made it a good time for anyone else who showed up.
Well, let's talk about the game now. It was a tough loss. They got out to a quick 2-0 lead, and you're able to get a goal in the second half. But what happened?
It's key moments in our game, and we always talk about it. And we've been on the successful end of it in the past 9 games or so. But first 5 minutes of a game, last 5 minutes of the half, first 5 minutes of the second half, last 5 minutes of the game. Those are key moments to come out, start strong, and finish strong. And they scored in the first 5 minutes of the game, and they scored in the first 5 minutes, or the last 5 minutes of the first half. We turned around and scored in the first 5 minutes of the second half. So those are key moments, and it's just a matter of being, kind of being more tuned in at that time. We talk about having a good start. We didn't want the atmosphere to take our focus away. And so we talked a lot about that, and we weren't happy with our first 5 minutes. The decisions on the ball the first few minutes weren't what we talked about and what we wanted to do, and we didn't execute the things we needed to. So that was a little bit disappointing. And then, the bigger disappointment was the last 5 minutes of the first half, because it's one thing to go into the locker room 1-0 at home, where we know it's going to be, it's going to be different in the second half, and we can kind of regroup, and at home and with that crowd that we were going to have a little bit more of the, the attack. And so that was even more disappointing, because if we got in there at halftime 1-0, I think it would have been a different game. But, just a couple of mental mistakes, to give them an opportunity, and they scored on a set piece, which is another thing that we spend a lot of time on and talk a lot about. So, South's a good team. There's a reason why they didn't lose a game in conference last year, and there's a reason why they're in the top. After beating us on Friday, they're now in the top 30, I think 31 in the RPI. Wow. So they're a good team. They were better than us on the night. We had our moments in the second half, and we scored a goal. We had a couple other opportunities, and we were better at times. But you can beat teams that are better than you if you outwork them, and they outworked us in the first half. So that's something for our team to just grow and learn from. We're gonna hopefully see them again in the conference tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if we're playing them in the last game of the conference tournament. So it's something we have to learn from and be prepared for. They may be technically a little better than us, but we can beat them by outworking them, and I think that's where we missed the ball a little bit. So the second half, if we play like that, I'm confident that we'll have a very successful Sun Belt Conference regular season here. So they came out and they played hard, and we did some really good things and created some chances. So that's going to go a long way in the rest of these conference games.
Well, and it continues this week as you take a pretty good road trip as you go to Louisiana, face Monroe on Friday night, and then Lafayette on Sunday. But talk about those two opponents.
Yeah, it's the Lafayette trip's always a tough trip, and Monroe just being so far. So you got to get up early Thursday, head out there, try and get everybody well rested, and then get up for the game on Friday. So it's going to be a tough game. I think any game in our conference is hard on the road. So we having as much success as we did at home throughout the past 2 seasons, we said if we can take care of being at home and split the road trips, then that should put us in second place. So now we've got to make up a game losing to South Alabama at home. So between this trip and the Georgia State trip, we've got to get 3 wins out of those 4 road games. So something that this team struggled with in the past, but last year we did have some good road wins, a couple at Arkansas to wrap up the conference last year and to get second place. So this will be a good test for us. How can we compete on the road in conference? We just went to Tennessee last weekend and got 2 road wins. So that was a really good kind of test for us on the road, but now it's a little bit tougher being in conference. We know every game is going to be a little bit tighter, and we've after this weekend we have an opportunity to see each other because all the games are online. So we can look at each other. They're going to have an idea of how we're going to play. We're going to have an idea of how they're going to play. So execution is what it's going to come down to, and making sure that we're mentally prepared, because being on the road, that's one of the hardest things is, not only traveling and playing, but that Sunday game is going to be very difficult because it's 4 days on the road, changing hotels, a couple hours on a bus. So, it's going to be a big test for us, and hopefully, we come out on the positive side of things, because that'll set the tone for us the rest of the way.
Right, and you do have quite a few freshmen playing. Are you telling them anything different for this road trip as opposed to the other ones you've been playing so far?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked to them a lot, even leading up to the South Alabama game, that, conference games are completely different. It's, it doesn't matter what the records are, it doesn't matter what you've done against, similar opponents. It's a new game, and at this point, everyone's playing for every point. So they're going to come out and they're going to come hard. Everybody, I think, South Alabama has a target on their back, being the defending champions, but I think we have a pretty big target on our back, because last year we came in, no one expected us to do much. I think the preseason polls, they had us at 7th place, and then we finished in 2nd place. So we beat a lot of teams that weren't used to losing to Troy, and so I think there's going to be a lot of schools that say, hey, we want to get back on top of Troy, and we're going to have a little bit of a target on our back, thinking that they can catch us, and they have to catch us before they can catch South. So that's something that we've talked about is, most of them have come from high school soccer and high level club soccer, and they had a rival at some point, and we said basically the next 9 games are going to be like that. It's going to be your biggest rival every single time. The games are tighter, less opportunities, so you have to be able to take advantage of those chances that we get, and we have to not allow other teams to have many opportunities against us. Don't give them opportunities by making mistakes. And I think if we can do what we did last year, I think we ended the conference 4 shutouts in a row, and then the first 2 conference tournament games 2 shutouts. So we have to just be good at the things that we're used to being good at, and sound defense, less opportunities than the other teams, and we're gonna be good.
All right, Coach. Well, that continues this weekend as you head to Louisiana. So good luck on both those games.
Thank you.
All right, and stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. Welcome back to It's Tea Time, and now it's time to talk about the tennis team with the men's head coach, and that's Coach Scott Kidd. And Coach, y'all have got a very big tournament coming up this weekend to kind of kick off your fall schedule, and it's one of the most prestigious tournaments in the country. If you can just kind of talk a little bit about the tournament itself.
Yes, we open up with the ITA All-American Championships. It's one of the 3 what they call Grand Slam events in college tennis. It's a very tough event. You got to be invited, of course. So we luckily had 8 players to qualify out of 16 players I have on the roster this year. Of course, Hassan just getting a national ranking, got into the middle draw. So he's having to withdraw due to an injury right now because of precaution for some other big events coming up. So we'll travel with 7, but 4 of the 7 are going to be 4 of our new incoming players. So I'm excited to see them in action. It's our first tournament. Yeah. We start off with a tough event. So the best teams in the country are there. So it's going to be very interesting. It's a great event, and we're just excited to have Troy to be represented there.
And this is all based on what you did last year after how well y'all ended the season?
It is. It has, with the returning players, it has to do with their results, of course. With the incoming players, we send in information on their success as a junior on the ITF circuit, or if they even played adult events. So by the information you get, they have a committee that selects the players. So we're excited to, first time ever Troy's had this many players. Last year we only got to take 4. So,
and this is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's going to be, I'm sure it's at a big tennis center, one of the biggest.
It is. Tulsa's a tennis center to me, and I've been to a lot of venues across the country. Is one of the most nice tennis venues in the country. It's a big venue, so it's been hosting this for a couple of years. So a lot of people come out and support it. The city really loves tennis, so it's a great atmosphere for the kids, and especially the new kids here. They're going to kind of get their feet wet and kind of see what college tennis is about. So I'm excited to get away, go travel with them, and just let them go and have fun and play tennis and see what we can do out there.
Are you kind of preparing them for the atmosphere, or are you just telling them, hey, it's just another tennis match?
I really haven't said too much to them, because especially with the freshmen, they're excited but yet nervous. Right. So I've kind of actually been quiet about it. They know it's a very prestigious tournament, so I think they're putting pressure on themselves. And being new, they want to impress me a lot. I've seen that during practice and stuff. And I'm just telling them, hey, just relax, have fun, don't worry about me. Just go out and have fun and play tennis. So we've had great practices. We started our 20-hour practice 2 weeks ago. So it's been very positive, energetic. With a group of 16 players, maybe one of the largest rosters in the country, we've really had to make sure we're organized as a coaching staff. So I think that we were on the right track. We have a great group of boys. I can't say enough great things about them. So we're excited. I mean, we have 5 events back to back. So every weekend we're going to be traveling. Next week we'll be at Mercer. Okay. And then of course we're playing at the University of Alabama for the ITA South Championships. Of course, the winner of that could qualify the other Grand Slam in college tennis, which will be hosted in New York at Flushing Meadows, the US Open site. So we have some big events coming this year. It's amazing how our success last year, now we're seeing us get invited to some of the bigger events. We got 4 players into the USTA ITA Clay Court Championships. So that is a major event. So it's going to be hosted at Disney World. So we have 4 players that will be represented there. So it's going to be an interesting, exciting fall season for Troy's men's tennis.
It really sounds like it. How do you prepare them for playing on clay? I mean, we can talk about this later, but not something they're used to or that they can get practice on here.
Well, with 16 guys, most of these players are raised on clay. Okay. So they're very familiar with it. It is a different clay. It's a green clay, American clay. But I think once we get closer to that, that's the first week in November, I'll probably try to make a couple trips to Montgomery, because they have the clay courts up there, and do some practicing with these guys. And of course, we'll travel maybe 2 days before the event and let them really get adjusted to the surface. But I think I'm carrying 4 really good clay court players, so it'll be interesting because this is what they've played on their whole life, and they're really looking forward to it. We have 2 seniors, Daniel Bustamante, Giovanni Samaha. I mean, 2 great guys. It's really energetic. It's their senior year. I mean, at the practice, they're just fired up, energetic, really pushing the young boys. So I think we're going to have from what I see, I think it's going to be a big year for Troy's men's tennis.
Oh, and talk about the depth just a little bit. How important is it to have 16 guys on the roster for you?
I think this plays in a lot of roles. As you know, I've talked to my ADs about it. We do play a very hard schedule. I think for the first month and a half, we maybe have the hardest schedule in the country. Yeah. We're opening up with SEC, ACC, so some big schools with top 20 ranked programs. I knew that, so that's why I went out and I did some major recruiting. So we have some really talented players in this year from across all over the world. So having this depth and having this many players, it allows us to rest our top players in the season.
Right.
Because people don't realize that with the academic load these kids have, with our 20-hour practice during the week, the traveling, we're driving sometimes, hours to get there the day before. So it's a lot these kids have to sacrifice and go through to be ready for these dual matches. So, but having this amount of players is going to be really good this year, beneficial that we can rest players. Hopefully we won't have injuries with a tough schedule. So and the great thing is everybody gets to play this year. All 16 players are going to play in matches. One day, the very last match of the season in the spring, we play 3 matches that same day. Right. So, I'm hoping we're going to get more booster fan support out this year. And, we have some big expectations this year. I'm excited about it.
All right, Coach. Well, it sounds like a very exciting year for the men's tennis team and hopefully a lot to talk about. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. And welcome back to It's Tea Time, and we're going to talk about the volleyball team with Coach Sonny Kirkpatrick. And Coach, last week we talked about that you were going to be on a tough road trip up to Arkansas, facing a couple of very strong teams, and you went up there, took 2 losses. But did your team perform how you thought they would perform up there?
Not Friday night. We knew going into playing Little Rock, defending Sun Belt champions, 25 match winning streak in conference going into that match, that we were going to have to play well, and we didn't. To be brutally honest, we did not perform to a level that's acceptable. Now Saturday night, even though the scores don't reflect it, we played pretty well in that match. Arkansas State is really, really good this year. We lost to them last Saturday in 5 here in a really, really good battle. And for 2.5 games on Saturday, it was really close the entire way through, with the exception of the beginning of the 3rd game. But we started making some headway late in that game. We just had dug ourselves too big a hole to get back on top. But when we play, it's a lot of fun, and we've had some good practices since then. We're getting ready for our match tomorrow night against Alabama A&M, and it'll be good for us to be at home and get a chance to kind of get back on the winning track.
Well, and how important is that to have these next few games at home? You're going to be playing Alabama A&M, as you said, in a non-conference game, and you've had kind of a tough stretch on the road. How important is it to get back home?
Well, playing at home is always a good thing. Playing in front of your home crowd, somewhere where you're familiar with. But we need to get a win to feel a little bit better about what we're doing. And then going into Friday night's match against Georgia State is huge to get a little bit of momentum going into that one.
And what do you know about Georgia State? They're another conference team that'll be coming in here.
They're a talented team. They've got one of the best players in the conference in one of their outside hitters. So we need to really be aware of where she is and what she's doing. But when we're at home, I put our team up against anybody out there. And it'll be good to get home in front of our fans going into the weekend with the football game and everything, and a lot of excitement around campus. So I think that'll rub off on our players, and I think we'll perform really well.
And what time do y'all begin on Friday?
It's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Tuesday, 6 o'clock Friday.
And both those games at home, Alabama A&M and Georgia State, and hopefully 2 W's to be talking about next week.
We'll take one at a time.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jonathan.
And join us again next week for more of It's Tea Time.